What's up, Duke fans? Welcome to the Devil's Den podcast. I'm your host, Josh Smith, joined by my co-host Raul and Shu. Obviously, me and Raul just did an Arkansas reaction the night of. Shu wasn't able to join us, so we figured we'd bring him back in, get his thoughts a little bit on that game. There's also some bigger trends and thematic stuff we'll probably talk about here a little bit. We're technically right around that 20% of the season mark, if you will, almost like a quarter in. So we'll pan out, talk about a little bit of stuff that we've seen so far, some takeaways, and then we'll get into Florida. Talk about them a little bit, but fellas, off the top, hope y'all had a happy Thanksgiving. Listeners, y'all as well. I don't know if y'all did any shopping or any of that. I spent way too much money at Record Store Day, so probably going to have to be in the doghouse myself a little bit after that. So hope y'all had a good holidays, but just kind of, fellas, what was the highlight of the week for you so far?
I mean, I guess it's just the Duke win, honestly. Like, I watched that with my mom, which was pretty cool. She's not a basketball fan at all, and I've, rarely, if ever, watched a game with her, but she got surprisingly into it. And she knew a few basketball rules, but I had to explain to her some of what was going on. So, but just, doing that, and it was just a super exciting game, the ups and downs of it. So that was fun. The Thanksgiving itself was great too. Like, just helped cook a lot of stuff, I focused on the mashed potatoes because I figured I could handle that, and I feel like I did a pretty good job. So
nice, yeah. I kept my hand out of the pot this year. But Shu, how did you see some family? Would you get out? Did you travel?
We do our family thing earlier in the weekend before Thanksgiving Day is always just kind of low key for the wife and I. We cook way too much food for just the two of us. But shout outs to her. She's the real MVP. I mean, she made, like I said, something we'll probably be able to eat on for the next week and a half.
I know Lana throws down.
So
food.
I did help a little bit. I chopped the veggies, but I mean, I can't cook anything. I couldn't even make the mac and cheese if it came down to it. So.
Can I get you a drink? Do you want the music on?
Exactly. Just keeping the drinks made. But, we watched basketball. I had basketball on all day, the Michigan State Carolina game, and then obviously our game. Was just a great time. Again, always low key, and I loved it that we had a Duke basketball game to watch this year.
Especially the evening too.
Yeah.
Like, I like the evening because a lot of times it's like while people are cooking or while people are eating, and you kind of you're kind of a jerk if you're like, hey, can I turn the Duke game on? But at 8 o'clock is a nice little night
we had
out.
just finished, got done with the dessert, was ready to kind of sit down and get on the couch. So one of the reasons I couldn't join you guys is had a couple drinks too many during the day.
Well, so did we.
A little fatigued. Yeah, we just came in buzzed up. So hey, well, glad y'all had a good time.
Look, first off, shout outs to Duke football. Got a big win against Wake Forest. That's the second year in a row they have beat Wake State and Carolina to win the state title, the Big Four, whatever you want to call it. Also, by doing so, and we don't need to get into all the semantics of it, but they're going to play in the ACC championship game here in Charlotte. So congrats to those guys. Big time for those guys. So my thoughts on the Arkansas game, you guys kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, it was a tale of 2 games or 3 games, even, as Raul said. Like, kind of tough start. We were turning the ball over a lot. They were beating us to the ball, getting a lot of rebounds. I thought Hamini, when he came in, was a real big interjection to the lineup. Came up with some tough rebounds. And then, we went from a 7-point deficit to a 12-point lead all in a quick span. A lot of that was Isaiah. I think he hit 3 threes in a pretty quick succession. And then I don't know if you guys noticed, we ran the, what I call the Sex Panther play. I hadn't seen us do it a lot this year, but after Isaiah hit his 3rd three, you come down, it looks like we're going to heat check him, set him up for a flare screen. Well, no, Dame just ghost screens, takes off to the basket. Malik hits some nice little easy layup. So it was nice to see John kind of in his bag, helping us out a lot. He's talked about in big games needing to help the team. And I thought, smart play calling like that, setting the defense up like that was nice. Other than that, you guys also hit on it. Caleb, I don't think we win that game without Caleb. Big time performance. Yeah. Did he have some tough plays? Sure. Everybody does, but big time performance for him. For some reason, he likes the United Center. That was his 16-point game against Michigan State his freshman year. So Big up to Caleb in that one. And then Cam, dude. I mean, what do you say about him? And just the guy's a dog. He's unstoppable. If you're going to play him single coverage, poor Trevon Brazile. I mean, I felt bad for him. The guy, obviously he's an athlete, made some hell of some plays himself. But just one-on-one, and that Nick Pringle, I felt bad for him. I thought he kept coming in to try to double. A lot of times just got a lot of fouls called on him.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them I thought were weak fouls. I thought they were letting the game, really be physical, and they called some weak fouls on Pringle. I thought they called a couple weak fouls on Big Pat too, but what a night for Cam either way. 35 points. The second time he's done that this year, I think.
Yeah.
What was the stat? Just him, JJ, and
Jay Will.
Jay Will, the only ones that have 35-point games, multiples in a season.
Right. And those are two of the biggest scorers in Duke history. So, pretty good company.
Pretty good company. JJ for doing it in like back-to-back years, though. That's tough, dude. That's tough. Man. And it's kind of quietly, too, right? I mean, 2 35-point, like, you feel like there'd be like a lot of chatter about that. And he's gotten flowers, but maybe not to the level that he should for having 2 35-point performances in 8 games. I mean,
do you think it's because we just had Cooper last year? Like, you know what I mean? And it's like the standard is just like so high now for freshmen. And, Khan was obviously amazing too. It's like, people have almost become numb to,
Yeah, maybe so. And maybe even for the fan base, there's a little bit of it too,
right?
Where you see some of that and it's like, after a season like last year, though, I think it's just not that it's always about nets here, right? Dude, we get that. But I think after like something like last year, it takes a while. We've talked about it, but to me, it was the same thing in 2020 after that Zion team. Now, they didn't make a Final Four, but you get right there and you have all of that excitement, a number 1 pick. And I think it took the fan base a while, like for the interaction to build back up for the 2020 squad. They just weren't quite as sexy for whatever reason, even though they had several highlight plays. I mean, Stanley was his own highlight reel. But I think there's just a little bit of that, right, of coming off a big year, just a little
and this team is not as flashy overall, and Cam Boozer kind of embodies that. He's just, a lot more just workmanlike.
Way under the rim compared to Coop. Come on, was way above the rim stuff.
Right. Did you guys listen to Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander? Parrish had this whole funny segment of like, he's gotten the best player in the country 2 years in a row. Why don't more coaches just do that?
Yeah, why don't everybody just go get the best player in the country?
Philosophy, right? Yeah. Don Shire and a bunch of idiots out there.
Yeah. Why don't you just go get the best? Yeah, and they made some points about, like the sustainability of him having to do that. And maybe that's why it hasn't popped as much, because it's like when he's not going for 35, he's very content just kind of taking what he needs. But if you're just going to solo coverage this guy and you're going to give him rim looks, I mean, he's going to score 35 because he's going to do it on like 17 shots.
It seemed shots. like a direct consequence of the way Calipari and Arkansas decided to cover Duke, right? And I actually thought it was smart, and it kind of ties into a talking point we might have later of just like, how does Duke handle that and how do they adjust to that? Like, what happens if Caleb doesn't step up in this game, right? So we can get into that later. But Shu, I wanted to ask you, how did you feel when Duke was 7 points down in the second half? Or do you even remember your emotions at that time? But
I mean, I always felt like we were gonna win. I know I'm not as pessimistic as you guys get, I think. One, I was just hoping we'd keep covering the spread. So I was like, not, right now, just win. But I thought like we were playing really good D, and Acuff especially was just making tough shots.
Some ridiculous ones.
And then Malik Thomas hit a couple, like, just what the hell? Like, I think in the post game, Calipari talked about at halftime that he had told Malik, like, we need you to shoot more. I'm going to take you out if you're not going to shoot open shots. And so second half, I think it was pretty early on, he caught the ball. I mean, he was 3 feet behind the NBA 3-point line, and Caleb was guarding him, and he didn't really make any kind of move. He just chucked it up there. Like, it wouldn't call it an open shot, but he made it. So there was just stuff like that. Like, Herminia had some really good defense
That
on
late
a
one that he got hit.
yeah,
Was
he
like,
hit that
dude,
floater. Yeah,
shit,
exactly.
man.
So I always kind of felt like, we would just gradually grind them down like we have been doing to a lot of teams, because we just send waves of guys at you, even though we weren't really sending waves of guys in this game. I don't think Caden played a whole lot. Darren only got 2 minutes. So we kind of stuck with that 6-7 guys as most of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a different dynamic. We talked a little bit about that in our reaction. I mean, for us, it was for now. We're looking at it as kind of like a one-off. You do what you need to do in this particular game, in this particular setting, and that's just what it is, right? I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I would be shocked if the rotation is all of a sudden 6.5 again against Florida. But hey, some dudes have to play better, probably to really deserve to get in there a little bit more. But let's pan out a little bit, fellas. We got 3 quad 1 wins, so we talked about our schedule all off season, about the dynamics of that. We've gotten through Texas, Kansas, and now Arkansas, coming out 3-0. Got 3 more, like literally almost back to back. You got Lipscomb kind of thrown in there, but Florida at home, MSU on the road, Texas Tech on a neutral. How you feeling so far? Kind of, what are your expectations going forward now that we're 3-0 in these Q1s? Do we keep it up, basically?
Well, one thing before I start out, I did want to mention to you guys, did y'all notice in the Arkansas game, like, it's on an NBA floor, and so there's a college 3-point line paint is the only difference, but every 3 that was taken in that game was a 3-point, like NBA 3-point and further back. Like, nobody stepped inside the black line and shot at the college ones. So I thought that was kind of just a unique thing, that whenever you play on the NBA floor, boy, everybody loves to shoot 25 footers. Yeah. As far as the stretch that's coming up, like, I guess coming into the season, I looked ahead to the Florida game because they are the defending champs. They brought back that front court, but the backcourt was something kind of like us, was going to be questionable, right? Lee coming in from Princeton and Boogie, who, coincidentally it just came from Arkansas, wasn't very great for them. The Texas Tech game, obviously going to be a big game at Madison Square Garden. You got JT Toppin going against Cam Boozer. I think that's going to be, primetime basketball. Yeah. Hopefully we can get, and then the game in East Lansing, I mean, Michigan State's, they handled Carolina pretty easily. They don't shoot a lot of threes or make a lot of threes. So that's one thing that kind of interesting about that game. Maybe we can just blow it open. If you can get into a big lead, is it easier for them to come back with not being able to produce many 3-point plays like that? So just something to keep in mind.
Yeah. What about in the quality? And then I'll toss it to you, Raul, like the quality of the landscape. Does that change kind of like how you view being 3-0 in quad 1, or like looking ahead to these other games? Because I mean, that was like 2 months ago. I was on here hyping the Texas Tech matchup. I was like, this could be a Final 14. This is like a national championship type game. And they still look good, but nowhere to where I thought they would be. We played Kansas without Darren Peterson, but then they reel off 3 wins. So they look, thank God they did that, right? Like, we need them to kind of stay there. And then we played Texas, who I think when we first scheduled this, I just hear Texas and just thought they were going to be maybe a little bit more. So I guess I'm just asking, is it tainted for you at all? Or do you weigh it, I guess? Do you put any weight on the 3-0? Is there any qualifier or condition that you kind of attach to that?
I mean, look, you schedule these games preseason, you don't know what the team's really going to be. All you can go by is what they're projected to be. And like you said, Texas Tech, you think, coming in the season, this is a team that has a shot at the Final Four. Do they end up being that? Maybe not. But I don't know if I would say it's tainted. Look, it's great to have Q1 wins either way. That's what the committee is going to look at. I don't think they're going to look at it and go, well, this team should have been better, but they weren't as good. But look, it's still Q1, so that's fine with me.
Yeah, I mean, somebody on the message board said it, and to me, it's just kind of like, well, only if they would have lost. Right? When you win all these games, it's like, oh, okay, like, well, maybe those teams weren't quite at the level where it's not like a 1 versus 2, but you took care of business and you handled them and you put them away like you needed to put those teams away. So
sure,
I don't know.
Yeah, and it's not like you're squeaking out the wins either, right? It's
right.
These haven't been 1 point, 2 point wins. 9 points, double digits. 15 points against Texas. So, and it's kind of a little bit of trade-off too, right? Like, okay, maybe Texas Tech and Florida are not quite at the level that we expected, or even Arkansas for that matter, though they looked like it the other night.
But Michigan is.
Michigan is, right?
Michigan
And Michigan State, too, I think looks
Michigan
a little bit better than we were expecting. So those two games could end up being tougher than expected, while maybe these other four are just kind of like at the level or a little bit below. But yeah, I mean, to Shu's point, it's like it's just impossible to predict this. And this is why you schedule so aggressively, just in case one or two of those teams do fall off. I'm just happy that like Kansas without Peterson has managed to stay really respectable, right? Like I was kind of a little bit worried, like looking at their upcoming schedule without him and thinking like, okay, they played well against us, but how are they going to handle it going forward? Everybody can get up against Duke, but can you get up for like 6 games in a row against, major opponents?
Right.
And so far they have. So
beat a good Tennessee team, right? That we know all too well.
And they beat Notre Dame and Syracuse and then Tennessee.
Yeah, exactly.
And they play Connecticut Tuesday. So they keep playing.
Have you guys noticed on KenPom the projected, gives you the every game projected or whatever. I think they just changed. Now we're projected to also lose to Michigan. Like the only L that was projected was at Louisville, right? That was the only one to start the season. Now they're changed to Michigan. So Michigan has, played really well. All of a sudden, I mean, they're putting up 100 points on almost everybody.
For them to be a 3-point favorite now on KenPom too, like not just that it flipped, but for them to flip it for a 3-point favorite that they're favored by 3 on a neutral, to us, it's like, whoa, that's like they really put on in this tournament that they just went in. Like last week, they had a hell of a week.
It'll be interesting.
I don't really know what's going. Like, I watched them play Wake and they barely beat Wake, and Wake had a chance to win. I
Wake
felt
should have won the game.
Should have won the game. Like I felt like Elliot Cadeau is Elliot Cadeau. You gotta put a little pressure on him. He'll turn it over a lot.
Yeah, they're just playing insanely fast. That's what they're playing really fast, and they're really big, and their defense is just insane because of the Wake, that 7'3" guy, and then the transfer guy that they picked up. He might be Player of the Year conversation too. I mean, I think he's third now. Yeah.
I wonder if they'll be able to sustain it because, early in the year their offense was like 38th, and then just in the space of 3 games it jumps up like to 13th or something.
11th now,
11th, yeah. So, to have that kind of jump in 3 games, you're like, is that just a hot stretch, or did they really figure something out? That's one of those things where I think you'd really have to be a fan of the team and watch every game to see if something just like that wasn't working before clicked, or if it was just, flukish. So, but I think we'll know by February, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, because right now it's like, well, if they sustain that, then they are going to just cruise to a title. I mean, if you're basically going to be the best team in the country at like paint finishing, and also the best team in the country in paint defense and preventing other teams, like if you're 1-1, and like I think they're not quite 1 on finishing, but like they're close. Their 2-point percentage is really high. If you're the best at both of those things, then in a single game, a 6-game tournament, sure, things can get wonky. But that's a recipe right there. Like that's a recipe to cruise.
I will say that Duke profiles pretty well on those 2 things as well. Number 3 2-point percentage and number 5 2-point percentage allowed. So we're kind of where we want to be.
We're right there too. We're right there too. Which would be interesting when that game comes up too. But we don't have to talk too much about that one in particular. I think there's some other things that we could probably get into. Is there someone that surprised you so far through 8 games? Is someone kind of stood out to you in a way that like maybe you didn't see coming? Whether maybe it's Cam being better than you thought he was going to be, or somebody maybe not quite at the level, or
I mean, is Cam Boozer too easy an answer? Because what he's doing is historic, right? He's 30% usage, and he has 142 offensive rating last I looked. For anybody to do that, let alone a freshman, it's just incredible. And again, just like Cooper, he's leading Duke in all statistical categories, but he's been more efficient out of the gate overall. Like Cooper's offensive rating wasn't anywhere close to 140 at this point in the year. So yeah, I think it's just, we heard over the summer from John Watson that, they think Cam is way better than even they expected, right? But you only can buy so much into that, right? We haven't seen him on an actual court against actual opponents, but to see it actually translate, and he answered some questions in the last game too, right? There was all that talk about him struggling to finish against length. I mean, I know it was single coverage, but
he was finishing.
Arkansas certainly has some length, and they certainly have some athletes too. We saw Brazil have that amazing dunk. So for him to be able to finish over and over and over down the stretch, and I thought he showed a lot more patience and like better footwork too. He would get in on that pivot foot, and then he would just plant that, and you could not move him, and he would just pivot until he got the open shot.
Yeah,
that really one he had where he went up and under was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then there was another one late in the game too. But anyway, yeah. So I think he'd probably be my answer, but there's a couple other good nominees, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I don't know if I would call it a surprise or a disappointment, but like we talked about the Caleb versus Caden thing, I think the Nick Dame Sar things it's become more than the Caleb Caden thing. Like Nick's really kind of been impressive to come in there and just the aggressiveness and how hard and like the warrior mentality comes in and just, puts his nose to the ball. It's nice to see a guy get in there and mix it up like that, especially as a freshman.
He's up to 40% from three. Watch out. Watch
and
out.
The shot's starting to come around. He draws a lot of fouls. You don't see him turn it over a whole lot. Like he doesn't play too outside of himself. So you like that too. Yeah, I've liked what I've seen from Silent K.
Shooting 70% at the rim.
Yep.
I mean, I'm saying, you shoot 70% at the rim, like that's going to track, dude. That's going to play.
And 40% from three, and you draw free throws as well.
Yeah. Now the free throw percentage, you'd like to see that. Like maybe he's only shot 13, I think, or what, 14. But
he has a habit of going 1 of 2.
Yeah. You'd like to see that creep up to like you get into that 50, 40, 90 category. Now 90, maybe not from 57, but if he can get that to like 75, 80. That's gonna track, dude.
And he offers a nice contrast from Dame. Dame is kind of erratic. He can play really well at times, but I feel like sometimes he just tries to do a little bit too much, especially on offense. On defense, he's been mostly solid, and I don't really have any complaints. But there's times where he just, tries to do something where maybe he just should have pulled the ball out, or maybe he just takes a three, and it's like, okay, it's technically open, but is that really the best shot we can get, given your shooting percentages and all that? And you don't want to like tamp down his aggressiveness too much, but I feel like Amenia, you just know that he's going to make the right decision pretty much all the time.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm going to give it to Big Pat. It hasn't like popped in like a voluminous, like massive way, but I think for how quickly some of the concerns that I have from like just very early exhibition, how quickly it and how hard it is to like become a star in your role when like your role is to like be next to the star, like in the post, right? Like the post guys are just a little bit different. I think he deserves a little bit of flowers from that, right? Like Evan Mia has already kind of like highlighted that. I think he was third on his list. Obviously, he's not going to get into any kind of like conversations because the numbers aren't there. But I think he's just been really good. I think he's been really good this year. And I think even if you didn't have a Cameron Boozer and Pat was just your center and you slid everyone down and you played Nick and Dame together, I think that'd still be a pretty good team, man.
Yep.
I think it'd still be a pretty good team. It'd look different. You'd have to figure things out a little bit, man. But I think Pat's he's been good, dude. Especially the last
if that was
games.
the team. If that was the team, I bet he'd be scoring more like
he'd be a star.
game. Yeah.
Right. He'd look like a star. Yeah.
I think it's just his consistency, right? That's been impressive.
Yeah.
The
and
fact that
on
he's
both
basically
ends
been good
too.
almost
what
every
he's
game.
doing on both ends. Because you wouldn't think that he would just have the verticality that he does, but he's really the only guy that gives us that, really.
Yeah. In terms of both like shot blocking, though Cam can get a few blocks, but shot blocking and being a lob threat.
Yeah, because Cam's not really that,
No.
right? And so we haven't really unlocked Dame to be that. Malik's got a little bit of that probably, but
I've been super impressed. That was going to be like that. Those are exactly the three guys I thought of, actually. I went with Cam first, but I thought of Nick and I thought of Pat as well. Those are the ones that jump out to me.
Yeah, I think those are the obvious ones. Is there somebody that you're still waiting for? Is there somebody out there that you're like, hey, we need more from this guy, or they're not quite where I was hoping they were going to be, or, not to kind of kick a horse when it's down, but who are you still looking to eat?
I mean, I want to see Evans get a little bit more aggressive. We've talked about reining in his shot diet, but I don't want him to not shoot at all.
I know.
It just seems like in that, just to go back in the Arkansas game, I mean, he catches fire, hits those 3 threes, goes in for a monster slam, just comes up a little short. Obviously Brazil probably altered it, but he didn't hit it. He didn't touch him.
Right.
He just kind of shorted it. But I don't think I don't remember him taking many shots after that. And with a guy with that kind of scoring ability, you need him getting a couple shots up throughout the game.
Yeah, I like the fact that he's diversified, his attack, but at the same time, I just feel like there's been a few too many games where he's just scoring 8 points, 9 points, whatever. And I just expected him to be more in the mid-teens more consistently. His defense has been pretty good. And again, rebounding, I think he did that pretty well the other night. I believe he had 5 rebounds, and he's had a bunch of block shots and stuff too. So it's not like he's played badly, but just you were definitely expecting a little bit more of a star turn from him. And maybe that's coming, but that's kind of what we need, right? We saw that the other night because again, what if Caleb had not been able to, rise to that moment of aggressiveness? Then if Duke can't go to Isaiah there, like who are they even going to on the perimeter?
Right. And while Caleb was great, it's Slim is the more natural pick for that, right? Like he's going to hunt shots more. You're going to have to really, I think, kind of like push Caleb to be aggressive, like consistently, because I don't think he looks for that. It's not quite just his natural way of playing. Whereas Slim, it's like, dude, he ain't seen a shot he don't like. Yeah. And so you got to find, you just kind of have to like maneuver that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it seems like he's almost been tamped down a little bit too much, maybe. Like Shire might have to be like, maybe get back to shooting just a little bit more.
Yeah.
And because we saw like earlier, like that Texas game when he was doing a lot more on ball stuff, like that is even seemed to kind of like be reduced the last 2 games. So I'd like to see more of that because we really, to me, it's last year we had Coop, right? And then we heard some reports of Khan, and then Khan kind of didn't take too long, kind of became like he closed the gap on Coop, right? And then by the end of the year, like it was pretty much, it was 1A, 1B. It was a true kind of like tandem there. I'd like to see this year get a little closer to that, right? Like, can we get Slim in that kind of like developmental track in terms of like usage and how much we're like running for him versus Cam closer to 35, like just running more. We're gonna need like a secondary reliable thing there.
Because I think it's okay to have like 2 of your leading scorers be in the post, but you got to have somebody on the perimeter who's up there with them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just too unbalanced as a team.
Yeah. And I think this is a good thing, though, right? Because it's not that like we need Slim to make shots. We just want to just take more, you know, because he's shooting fine. You kind of hope that at some point the threes might start to drop at a higher clip at some point. But I mean, I think it's not that he's playing poorly. He's playing well. It's just like to increase the volume a little bit, right? See a little bit more of it.
I gotta pick 2. I don't know. Maybe you want to go first. I want to see if you have the same pick as me, but because obviously Shu said Isaiah. So who would be your guy who you might like to a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say it, but for me, it's Dame. I know he's raw, and there's just not, and it's always going to be, you're looking at Cedric Howard a little bit and thinking about what you thought you might could put in this role. It's not fair to him. But I think there's more there. I think there's just more there than what we've seen so far on both ends. So, yeah, I'll go down there.
Yeah. I hadn't even thought of him. Mine was, it may just be a reaction to the last game, but Caden Boozer, like, I just feel like I want to see him do what he's done against teams like Niagara and Army. I want to see him do that against the Arkansas of the world. And I know that's harder, right? But it's one thing to be able to fly up and down the court and make the right assist and, go 2 of 4 from 3 against Niagara. It's another thing to do it against Arkansas. And I think we just saw that he just wasn't quite ready for that level of defense, that level of physicality, the size, the athleticism, all that. It just was unfortunately not a good showing at all for him. And that's why he played 8 minutes, because every time he was out there, we couldn't get anything going in the half court on offense. And then on defense, he wasn't really holding his own either. So, and he just, like, to me, such a swing factor for this season. Like, because again, it's going to be awesome if Caleb can play like that all the time, but he's still not the most natural point guard, whereas Caden is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. Which is kind of odd too, because I thought after that Kansas game, man, I thought like, oh, okay, like this might really start to pick up, and we're gonna have a very interesting, like, how do you do this kind of thing? Like, what is this gonna look like?
Yeah, I guess that is the major opponent that he did play well against.
That he played well, in that stretch. Like, he kind of saved us for a little bit. We had like 7 unanswered, and then. But the game looked different. I'll give you that too. Like, Arkansas just looked more athletic, right? They just looked, I don't know,
more imposing.
They were quicker too, right? The game just felt like, I don't know, that second half started to get away a little bit. I know you said you weren't. I was a little worried, man. I was a little worried there for a second. They were getting everything to bounce their way, right? When like Nick goes up to save a ball and it deflects to the guy and he gets a dunk out of bounds, it's like, okay, sure, right? When you're playing great defense and dude is just pulling up and hitting a 30s one-handed runner, it's like, okay, sure. But they just kept coming. They kept coming. And so, got the dub. But yeah, I think, Caden, for all those guys for different reasons, right? Caden, it's just, can you get up to speed? And I've said it early on in the offseason too, or like, a couple of games ago, that a guy like Caden, I think that's going to be difficult in that role, because he just seems like a guy that just needs to play 30 minutes to just really get that feel, right? Where like he's just going to kind of probe and pick and choose a little bit. And so him learning how to like lightning in a bottle that a little bit, right? Like, how do you kind of get more burst? It'll be interesting to see.
I like that he didn't seem, he was into the game on the bench, even though he didn't maybe get the minutes he wanted. When Cam made that lob that went in, he was he was loving that.
Yeah, no, that was cool.
Still has a good attitude, obviously. So.
Yeah, and I don't think he'll ever not have that, right? Like, I don't think he'll ever get to that. But all right, fellas, I think we went probably long enough on some of the other topics. Let's jump in here and talk a little bit about Florida. This game's going to be in Cameron, so that's a game that obviously you're wanting to come in and play well. Shu, you mentioned it. Reigning national champions. I think a lot of us had circled this one of like, ooh, you get them to come into your building. Like, that's going to be a massive environment. Here and there's going to be a blackout, so that's going to be pretty cool. Was hoping we were going to get some new jerseys, but unfortunately, Dave Bradley shot that one down. Said it's just going to be just the blacks. So, but hey, that's cool. But there was
first time we've ever worn the black jerseys in Cameron.
No pressure. No pressure. I don't think that would be something where we would get caught up in just that aspect of it, but it is kind of an interesting kind of dynamic. Hopefully it's not just a copycat thing going on where they had the whiteout over at Chapel Hill. Maybe I'm just old too, and that's just a trend at universities. They're just all into doing the color thing. So that's cool. Whatever. We'll see. Shu, I think you're going to be in the building from this one. So kind of how are you feeling entering this game? Florida might be a bit below the level nationally, although I think I was a little bit lower on them than maybe some of the national types, just because of like, I was a little unsure of how the backcourt was going to complement each other. But what are you kind of looking for from Florida coming into this game?
Well, last year we were famously like one of the largest teams in the whole NCAA. This Florida team's going to come in pretty big. I mean, their backcourt's going to roughly be ours 6'3", 6'4", where we go 6'5" with Caleb. But they're going to start Hal at the 3. I mean, he's 6'10". Condon's 6'11". Chinyelu, or the other Ruben, the other big guy. I mean, he's like 6'10", 260. I mean, he's a big boy. So it'll be interesting how we kind of combat that. And then just how it plays out. I mean, a lot was made of Lee transferring over in the portal. He was highly sought after, but he hasn't shot the ball particularly well from 3, especially in their games against marquee opponents. I mean, the season opener against Zona, he went 3 from 3-11. Against Florida State, 1 of 10. Miami 0 of 5. In this recent loss to TCU, 1 for 4. So, if we put some size on him and make him uncomfortable, take away a lot from him. And then you worry about Boogie, but Boogie was always inconsistent at Arkansas last year. I would say Arkansas played better without him even, the time he was hurt. So I think for us is just dealing with their kind of 3-headed monster of the front court, how we and staying out of foul trouble, obviously, between Pat and Malik.
Yeah, and I was going to point out that they have been playing a 3-guard lineup a little bit more often, so it'll be interesting to see if they try to go to that against Duke, or if that's something they just do against smaller teams like Providence and stuff, right? Because Klavzar is only 6'1". He's a good player, but if you're going 6'1", 6'3", 6'4", that gets real small in the backcourt, right? I don't know that they would try to do that against Duke. I think it would make more sense for them to just have their 3 kind of big front court players out there. But yeah, the 3-point thing is key to me. You obviously mentioned Lee's struggles, but even as a team overall, they're shooting 27.7% from 3, which is 320th in the country. Meanwhile, nobody's hitting 3s against them either. So that'll be an interesting kind of thing of which of these teams is Florida going to break out of their 3-point shooting slump, or is Duke going to be able to make inroads against Florida's 3-point defense? So, that could be something that decides the game. Like if we get another kind of Auburn-like performance from Slim, and Lee or somebody doesn't go off, then that wins the game right there. If you get 6 threes from Slim, it's over.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I'm kind of looking forward to is so their season opener, they played Arizona, and that's when Koa Pete, another freshman, dropped 30 points right out of the gate. Obviously, season opener, I don't think they were really sending doubles at Koa. And Koa's roughly, the same kind of player and build as Cameron. So are they going to do the Calipari approach and single coverage? Because they do have big bodies and guys that are skilled that they think can probably hold their own. So I would imagine that they do not send a lot of doubles, but I think they could actually. I'll take that back. You'll probably see a healthy mix of it, right? Like switching.
Yeah, because they can't
throwing a lot at them.
They don't work for Cal too, right? Like obviously Pringle was getting a little bit of a bad whistle, but I think you're okay with it a little bit if you're Cal and Arkansas, right? Like I'm okay if Pringle gets a bad whistle because our damage is going to be done offensively from our backcourt, right? So the front court, I just need. But for Florida, if you go 1-on-1 with Cam in Cameron, Condon gets 2 quick ones. Where you going?
Yeah,
where you going, bro? Where are you going? Because you ain't got nothing after that, right? Like I know they got big, but like if they have to go small, like with Condon and Ruben off the floor, Pat and Cam are gonna eat, bro. Like if Thomas Howell has to guard Cam, no, thank you. Like please for my sake, but that's gonna be ugly, man. So I don't know. Like they would want to double just to maybe avoid we can't have our guys. Not like Condon has to be on the floor for them, right? And maybe they let Ruben guard him. I don't know.
I mean, I think that's the dilemma with guarding Duke this year, right? It's because Cam is such a great passer. You are choosing: do I potentially give up a wide open Isaiah Evans 3-pointer, or do I let Cam get to the rim with just single coverage? And so it's a debate, right? Like there's rationales for both. I think Calipari probably thought okay, maybe Cam's going to get 35 on us, but we can shut the other guys down. Do they really have anybody who can create from the perimeter? And we learned that in this particular game, Caleb Foster was able to, but it wasn't a bad strategy. And I think that's why Duke was, struggling offensively for large stretches here, and then Shire made a smart choice of just like, well, if they're going to single coverage him, we're just going to go to him every time. And that's going to be our offense.
And then you got to make a choice.
And then he put Caleb in the high ball screen and let him penetrate a little bit too. So, it was good coaching, but it definitely took us a while to figure it out. So it'd be interesting to see if Golden is going to look at that and he's obviously going to watch that tape. And is he going to think, okay, Arkansas tried that and it didn't work? Or is he going to think Arkansas tried that and it almost worked? Maybe we don't have the option to do that for the reasons that you said. Or is he going to think, hey, that almost worked, let me try it? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping. Well, I don't know. I mean, if they double him, then obviously that opens things up a little bit, and you would just maybe everyone eats, and it's a fun game. But if they don't, man, I think you could be looking at just another massive Cam game here because, like, I'm looking at the numbers here, and so Cam draws over 7 fouls a game, right? Over 7 fouls. He's going to the line. He's drawing fouls. Condon averages almost 4 fouls a game. Right. Yeah. Ruben averages like 6 or something like that, whatever it was. So he's going to be putting some pressure on those boys down there. Right. Yeah. And so it's like, you get 2 quick ones on those or something, and this could really get out of hand for us. Unless it's the 3-point anomaly. Like if they get a regression to the mean, we don't shoot well for whatever reason. You'd hate to think that would happen at home for us in Cameron. Like, we usually tend to shoot pretty well there. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm looking at the 82-70. I can't help but feel really, really good coming into this game compared to maybe where I was in the offseason, only because I thought maybe Florida was like closer to the top than maybe they are. But I don't know, man. I think Cam could really just go off. Or they double him and then that opens it up, hopefully. Right?
Big Pat and everybody else eats.
Yeah, Dame's got to be cutting. We got to be making shots and things of that nature.
And Shire and Cam probably both would prefer it that way. Prefer he gets doubled because that's the way Shire wants to play, and I think that's the way Cam wants to play too. I think he likes passing.
And that's the thing with Arkansas too, right? Because his point is like, it's really hard. Even like, he got 35 and they beat us, right? But if you continue to do that, what does that do to a team over the course of a year if this guy really has to do that, right? Like if he has to do that, like, because I don't think that he's really wants to have to go get 35 every night, right? Like he wants to survey a little bit. He wants to be able to pass. And so, I think that's a viable strategy. And I'm with you. I think too, like I'd almost prefer if you did want to kind of double him a little bit. It just opens things up because we move really well. We tend to typically we move well. So
it's just more fun to watch overall too, I think. It's cool to watch Cam just score over and over again, but team
hook and travel is way all the way to 35.
Yeah, they were really on the hook and travel, man. They don't
have so many. They will not shut up about that.
Yeah, they need to really go look.
I was like, a hook and travel on this 3 in your face, on this corner 3. Like, what are you talking about?
On this transition dunk where you just didn't stop the ball at all.
Yeah, matador defense by UN. Yeah, I think
you know why they didn't. You know why they didn't? Because they were. I think it's partially because they were worried about Evans in the corner over there, which is kind of to my point, right? Like, Cam, he gives the like subtlest, like little look to the corner, almost a little bit of a fake, like he's going to pass it, and then just keeps going.
And
it wasn't good defense by them, but I just think, to the earlier point, just his ability to pass just opened things up so much. Like we've had other big men who could pass a little bit, but like if you compare like Cam's passing to like Jalil's passing, it's night and day, right? So.
Yeah, and I think you had on here that Condon was out against Providence too, so I think he's definitely playing against Duke.
Yeah, it said it was precautionary.
Yeah, so you got to think he's going to be ready for this one. So should be another big game.
I think they got us and then Connecticut the following week.
Yeah, Connecticut's played that.
They're playing everybody too.
Yeah, they're playing everybody too, man. So, all right. Well, we'll come back after that, fellas, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Before we get out of here, just real briefly, I've mentioned him on the top in comparison to this team, but man, just shouts to Coop and Khan again. Sion as well, all the rookies, but Coop and Khan specifically have really kind of came on. Now, Khan has been awesome pretty much from the jump here. Hit a shot the other night to send him to OT. Coop had 35, youngest player ever to do that. After what was kind of a pretty bad start in Dallas, things have kind of started to turn around a little bit, man. So just shouts to the guys. Ingram, shouts to BI. He had a nice game winner the other night too.
Oh yeah,
so,
he did. Yeah. Though he gave up the game tying basket to Khan there.
Yeah,
he runs out and then he doesn't stick up his arms for some reason. I don't know what.
He's like point shaving. Yeah, something was like point shaving.
Yeah.
Smitty, and thoughts on the Hornets City jersey, the yellow.
Oh yeah, I told Pyle, I was like, dude, you go up there. I want a Con one, man. Go ahead and get me a Con.
It looks nice in my opinion.
I do, man. I like it. I kind of wish I liked the ones like they don't wear like the black ones that much anymore, like the black Buzz City ones too. Like I kind of like those a little bit, but the orange creamsicle look, man, like the Sunset Boulevard kind of look, like that's fine. Yeah, I do like that. I know it's like the hive, the honey stuff, but to me, it's got a little flair to it. Look good.
And at the risk of traumatizing people, Sion made a successful inbounds pass this time. So
yeah, I saw that. Too soon on that, right? But shouts to the guys, but they're playing well. Some of the other guys, they're still kind of waiting for them to come on. Grayson's obviously had his own thing going too, so he's kind of tearing it up. So it's always nice to see.
Yeah, a lot of the kind of more under the radar role player Duke players are playing really well this year. It's been interesting, and then like some of the bigger guys are just out, like Tatum or Irving.
Yeah, Jared's starting to come back a little bit, right? So you're hoping that he can get right.
I want Dallas to trade for Jared, man, because Philly has too many guards right now. And that's why Jared's not getting a bunch of minutes, right? Because you got Edgecombe, you've got Maxey, you've got Grimes, and they're all kind of ahead of him because he's been out. Just putting Jared there with his shooting just to open things up. You get Kyrie back.
Yeah. That'd be fun. That'd be really fun. That'd be a lot of fun. And then obviously Seth going to Golden State to play with his brother, so that's kind of cool. Maybe he'll
re-sign with him. Yeah.
So, some things happening, but we'll come back probably Wednesday because Shu's going to be at the game, so we probably won't record till the next day here. Maybe if it's something crazy, maybe me and you hop on Raul or something. We'll see if something is worthy in that one. But
if they win by 30, we're
do you want me to call in from driving down?
Or if it's like some kind of buzzer beater or something crazy. We'll get a
call in from the press conference.
It's just on your phone back in the corner of the room. Like John's talking, I'm over here like laughing with you guys.
We're just recording. Yeah, that'd be cool. We'll see. We'll just make a game time decision on that one. But we appreciate you all. Hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe if you're out there traveling. If you're doing any retail therapy, hope it was kind to you. Be kind to everyone else out there too, fellas. But we appreciate you all again. So please rate, review, subscribe. You can email us TheDevilsDen.pod@gmail.com. You can find us on X/Twitter @DevilsDenPod247. And keep the faces strong in the pile. Go Duke.